All right. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. 1, 2, 3. Mic check. 1, 2, 3. Mic check. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh my god. Oh my god. Waiting for YouTube to refresh. 1, 2, 3. Nothing. It's dead. It's totally dead. It's not even refreshing. It's like stuck. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Please. Oh my god. Let's try to reopen it. Okay, much better. Finally. Still refreshing, but at least I can hear myself. Audio is good. Audio is good.
Still refreshing.
Weird that it's refreshing.
Audio is good.
All right. Nom, 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 nom. All right. Okay, so today's title is Let's Write a Paper About the Proof of Einstein's Constant Speed of Light Postulate. So, if we prove Einstein's speed of light postulate, then it's no longer a postulate. So, this should put a nail in the coffin of special relativity. First, first nail. Yeah. Let's give you the link to the room on my server. You can join my Discord and we can talk. All right. So, the first thing I wanted to do, obviously, is still do some basic research. I want to make sure that no one has ever tried to do this or succeeded in doing this. So, let's continue watching. We have two lectures that we were watching. Let's continue watching the Yale lecture from 15 years ago with comments turned off. Let's downvote it. Let me show you. So let's continue watching what he says, listening. Maybe because he is smart about how he introduces Shankar, Professor Shankar. All right, let's listen to him.
Because part of the speed is neutralized because you're going along with the waves. You'll see a slower velocity. So this acceleration is gone, the velocity is constant. That's when I say I just cannot tell. All right, now let's show once and for all that the laws of Newton are not going to be modified. So you find the laws of Newton before you go to sleep. You wake up, you find them again, you get the same law.
Oh, it skipped back. That's not where we were. We went through this hell.
No, you're not at rest. You're moving around the sun, for sure. Yep. Works. You will have to conceal your movements. Uniform velocity, if it makes perceptible changes, can no longer be considered as relative. It's absolute. And if you and I find each other moving, there may be a real sense in which I'm at rest and you're moving. Because this medium, which is called ether, would have to be very, very dense to support waves of this incredible velocity. But then, to find the speed relative to the medium, you calculate the velocity minus v.
There you go.
Because part of the speed is neutralized because you're going along with the waves. You'll see a slower velocity. So Mr. Michelson and his assistant, Morley, they did the experiment. And they got the answer equal to this. What does that mean? What does that mean? Yes? No, but you cannot jump to that right now.
No, they didn't. That's not the experiment they did. He doesn't even know the experiment they did. They didn't check the speed of light. An interferometer doesn't detect the speed of light. It doesn't detect the speed. It's an interferometer. It measures interference between two perpendicular waves in the same medium. So he doesn't even understand their experiment. Maybe he understood it at one point, but he's not explaining it. This has nothing to do with speed. This is maybe relative speed of waves, but not some speed.
Now, if you are following Newtonian physics, Your expectation is it should be c minus v. Yes.
I mean, your expectation, but not in waves. If you would assume waves, there's no confusion. When I first saw this lecture, I was like, yeah, but why are you talking about trains or moving past? You should talk about waves. If you just assume waves, shouldn't everything work out? That was my intuition since the first time I heard this lecture many years ago. I was like, what am I missing? Why are they talking about something that it creates contradictions and confusions? Why not talk about waves? Waves in anything. Like that was always my intuition.
Yep. Well, that's not so fast, but it certainly means the following. Well, that's a simpler answer than that. Yes. With what speed? 0. Because you don't have to look. You guys are ready to overthrow everything because you know the answer, right? You got to put yourself in the place of somebody in early 1900. There's no reason to overthrow anything. The answer is you're going at a speed 0. Of course, you realize it's incredibly fortunate that on the one day Michelson wants to do the experiment, we happen to be at rest with respect to the ether. Fine, but we know that luck is not going to last forever because you're going around the sun. On a particular day, maybe that velocity was such that on that day the Earth was at rest with respect to the ether. It's clear that 6 months later, when you're going the other direction, we cannot also be at rest with respect to the ether. But that's what you find when you do the experiment. You find every day get the same answer, and you jolly well know you're not at rest. You're moving around the sun for sure. Yep.
Okay, so the ether is always. I mean, the ether is gravity. He never thought about that. Einstein finally said it in 1920. Why didn't Einstein tell them to redo the experiment? I don't understand.
Yeah. So people try other solutions, but it's simply a fact that when you move one way or 6 months later the opposite way, you get the same answer C. So one possibility is
No, you don't get C. Just don't get an interference. Nothing to. I don't think anyone did the experiment to get C, because I don't know how accurate you can get C, but the interference you can get, like you can get an interference. I think much more. I think the sensitivity. I don't know. I'm actually curious to know, but because we know that the clocks slow down when you move through the ether, then you're always going to measure the same C. If they would have went through the thought experiment, I mean, it took Einstein to actually think about the fact that our internal clocks are based on this are waves in the ether. But for some reason, he skipped that step. But he came up with the correct notion that our internal consciousness is slowing down. That's why we're always perceiving the laws of nature to be constant. He presented it as a postulate, but again, this is the other proof that we should do. So we should prove two things: that the reason why we perceive the laws of nature to be constant is because our consciousness is impacted by the ether, the fact that we are moving through the ether, and our thoughts and all our internal ticking clocks, subatomic clocks, everything is a subatomic clock. Those all, these are all always seeing a constant speed of waves as per the rubber ducky.
You don't want to look. Don't be ready to do revolutions. You try to avoid it. So one answer is look at the speed of sound. You and I talk to each other then, and we talk to each other 6 months from now. We get the same speed of.
But that's because your consciousness doesn't work on sound. If your consciousness worked on sound, you'd get a constant speed of, of, of sound as per the rubber ducky.
Speed of sound. Speed of sound is published in textbooks, right? 700 something miles per hour. How come that doesn't change from day to day? Anybody hear this? I tell me why the speed of sound doesn't change from day to day.
Well, if your clock was based on sound, it would never change from day to day. It would never change. It would never change. If the clock was based on the sound that you're measuring, then the speed of sound can never change. It's always going to be the same. It doesn't matter more humidity, more pressure, altitude, nothing will ever change it. The speed of sound will be a cosmic constant. It's not even a cosmic constant, it's a perfect constant. It's a definitional constant. It's much more than cosmic. This is true in any cosmos. It's a definitional, the speed by its definition. If the clock is based on the same medium that you're taking the speed of, then you're always going to get the same speed by definition.
Even though we're moving.
This is not a physical derivation. This is a logical derivation. It just follows. It deductively follows.
No one here can guess. No, we are moving even 6 months from now. We get the same speed of sound in this room. When I talk to you, doesn't matter what time of year it is. Yes. Yeah, we are carrying air. As the Earth moves through space, it carries the air with you. And the speed of the wave is with respect to the medium. If you can carry the medium with you, then it doesn't matter how fast you're moving. So they tried that. They tried to argue that the Earth carries ether with it the way it carries air with it.
No,
Then
you can talk against the wind, but if your consciousness would be based on the waves of sound, then you would never be able to tell that you're speaking against the wind, with the wind, sideways to the wind, up, down. You could never notice it. If your consciousness was based on sound waves, you would never notice the motion of the direction of motion of the medium. How would you notice it? Right? It wouldn't change speed. It would always be the same speed, no matter where it's blowing. So you would never notice it. There's no way you could detect it unless you would use a very accurate interferometer. Then you would notice it.
then it's not an accident. You're at rest with respect to ether because you're taking it with you. But it's very easy to show by.
Okay. Oh, we have a person watching Motiva Fit. Hi. Motiva Fit. Hi. Indian Eater's carrier is over Kisma. Indian Pinaeus Eater's career is over Kisma. Who is that? Slava, why are you up so late? Well, my clock is different than yours, apparently. So, but this is so funny. Fluent dating from. This is so funny. But who is Motiva Fit? Let me check Motiva Fit. I'm curious. Sounds like an interesting channel. Let's check Motiva Fit. 1 second, please. I'm sorry. Motiva Fit. Oh, there you are, but you don't have. Oh, you actually have a video, a short video. Mind and body power. Okay, but just one subscriber. Interesting. Okay, let's continue. Yeah. Why don't you join my Discord, everyone? Let's talk a little bit.
By looking at distant stars, that you cannot be doing that. I don't have time to tell you why that is true. So you cannot take the
What?
ether with it the way it carries air with it. Then it's not an accident. You're at rest with respect to ether because you're taking it with you. But it's very easy to show by looking at distant stars that you cannot be doing that. I don't have time to tell you why that is true.
I don't have time to show you why that is true. If you're looking at distant stars, you're not carrying the ether with you. I wish you would tell us. Like, it can't, I mean, we know that we are carrying the ether with us. So, what would the proof be? Like, this is you just made me curious. Wait, what?
Ether with it the way it carries air with it. Then it's not an accident. You're at rest with respect to ether because you're taking it with you. But it's very easy to show by looking at distant stars that you cannot be doing that. I don't have time.
I don't have time. He doesn't have time. That's curious. Well, how do you know that you're not carrying the ether with you? Because that is the solution. That is the solution. That is the solution. You are carrying the ether with you. The ether is gravity, so you are in effect carrying it with you. He doesn't have time to show us. This is so ridiculous. He doesn't have time to show us. He cannot show that. There's no way he could show that. He doesn't have time to show that. Let's look it up. Okay, so let's do this here. So, how do we know that we are not carrying the ether with us? hmm Was the movement of the earth through the ether not detected because uh, whatever. There is no such thing as ether in the universe. The earth and all heavenly bodies are constantly moving through space. No one exactly knows what space really is. Space has no center, no boundaries, and no shape. Nothing can exist here. But how do you know this? Let's open it separately. The ether is a hostile paradise like dimension. What? Uh, Minecraft. What? The Earth's carrying capacity for human life. Is there any evidence that the ether exists? Contrary to common experience, not everything needs a medium to travel through. Overcoming that assumption removes the need for an ether. Yeah, that's unscientific. The ether wiki. The ether is one of, if not the largest Minecraft mods. You can when you cannibalize your own ether. Google search the world's. That's funny. Brave found Google as one of the entries. Ether force stack physics stack. Does ether not exist, or is it simply superfluous? I'll try to be brief. Thank you. You're too kind. The null result of the michelson experiment demonstrated that the let me magnify this before I lose my eyesight. What my glasses? Oh my god! I need to clean my glasses. It's actually very bad to clean your glasses because then you scratch them. Okay. So the Michelson-Morley experiments. Let's see. Do we have any more? No more comments, guys. Come on, give us comments. Give us a commentary. Please give us the commentary. Please. All right. The Michelson-Morley experiments demonstrated that the conceptual picture held by most physicists of the day about how light is propagated had something wrong with it. We're very basic. No, that's the wrong question. I don't care about that. Horizon, leave ether alone. I guess they rated the missions having low skill. I don't know what that is. Okay. James Clerk Maxwell developed a model to explain electric and magnetic phenomena. Is there any that ether exists? Connecting. Okay, the first one actually is the only one. So let's look it up. Was the movement of the Earth through the ether not detected because the ether was carrying the Earth like a leaf in the wind? Somewhat. University, when what, 19, graduated 19, author, okay, what, no. The reason is that there is no luminiferous ether. Perhaps the best counterexample is this from, okay, other experiments caused embarrassment to the ether idea. Fizeau's famous experiment, 1851 and 1853. Wait, this is before Maxwell. What's his name? Michelson and Morley. And later, similar experiments by Michelson and Morley, 1886, on the velocity of light. No, it's on the interference of two light beams in moving fluids could be understood only if one supposed that the ether was dragged along partially by the moving fluid. What? It is the moving fluid with the effectiveness of the medium in dragging the ether related to its index over. I don't understand exactly what he's saying, but how is this a counterexample? This is the explanation. There is no such thing as ether in the universe. The Earth and all the heavenly bodies are constantly moving through space. No one exactly knows what space really is. Space has no center, no boundaries, and no shape. Nothing can exist. Earth orbits the sun once. There is a radical new theory called replicating space theory, and it tells us there is a medium in space. After all, space is an energy field. It's actually the first, most basic and elementary. That's nonsense. Um, no, it's because there is no luminiferous ether. Would be the actual results indicate the Earth does not move. They're quoting an experiment from 1,000 years ago. Why don't you redo it today with super high accurate equipment instead of just, oh yeah, 1,000 years ago, the men in cavemen couldn't prove something, so let's just go with that. The ether drift was detected, but it was not of the magnitude envisioned by Albert Michelson. Albert Michelson was working under the assumption that the ether was fixed like a solid. The data, in reference to what? The data revealed the ether was fluid, and the Lorentz transformations are the quantification of the fluid ether. You can read all about it here. Okay, wait. Can you open this in a new tab? Okay. What was the reason for Michelson while he failed to detect motion through the ether? It seems to me, in the light of recent evidence, that ether drag by inverse distance weighted local mass is more likely than not to be the reason. In the way that air, as a propagation medium for sound, rotates with the Earth, so it can be argued that there is in effect a luminiferous ether that is dragged around by the physical mass of the nearby Earth. Well, somewhat, except for it doesn't rotate with the Earth. Gravitational force fields on Earth, in effect, the tick rates of atomic clocks depend linearly on the local speed of light. We also know from measurements of stellar aberration that starlight arrives here locally at speed c, irrespective of the ultra-fast speeds of the stars as emitters. This is what Professor Shankar was aiming for. That what? I don't know. Stellar aberration, maybe. Gravity and the variable speed, therefore, is already associated with distance weighted average of neighboring. I think where this is what he's referring to, whether locally on the surface of the Earth, interstellar space, within and between galaxies, solar systems, and even moons. Free fall. We also know from relatively recent LIGO experiments that the electromagnetic, that the EM, in the form of gamma waves. Gamma is just high energy light, the highest energy light, the shortest wavelengths on the spectrum that I know of, like picometer. It's like 10 to the negative. I think pico is 15. Gamma waves propagates at precisely the same variable speed as gravity waves, to 1 part in billions, propagating together through empty in vacuo space. NB, what is NB? The observed event was the sudden collapse of a binary star millions of years ago. So the controversial data table issue is whether the reported null results of Michelson-Morley and Miller, who's Miller, experiments do actually imply the unexpected, unexplained absence of luminiferous here and everywhere. The novel hypothesis of pseudo-luminiferous linked to local gravity. Oh, it can also explain other experimental results, including the Sagnac effect and the observed null dispersion of Doppler-affected emissions from binary stars. Okay, that sounds like my theory. We can then argue controversially, constructively, that in physical terms, Einstein's second postulate of special relativity is invalid. There you go. And hence, that the Lorentz space-time transform is superfluous. What is Lorentz space-time transform? That includes its second-order redefinition of propagation in terms of c squared supposes sub-diuminal, maybe subliminal speed, like subliminal and subspeed of light, speed limit, explained unexplained contractions of spacetime in various paradoxes. Two classical 1842. This is before the U.S. Civil War. What do you call it? The before and after the Civil War has a name, doesn't it? The two classical 1842 Doppler scale factors apply instead without the invalid additional scaling. I don't know what that is, but modified to include the average of the variable speed of propagation of electromagnetic and gravity through empty space. The Lorentz scale factor is supposedly a simple normalization term that is applied in addition to the Doppler spacetime transform. We don't need to consider Doppler. I don't think so, because I'm looking at everything as if it's passing right in front of me, not to the side. So I'm not considering Doppler. I don't care about Doppler. Relativistic Doppler, what? But a mathematical normalization term cannot introduce the several physical effects that are attributed to special relativity, in addition to the virtual effects of Doppler scaling caused by finite propagation delay. 1 second, my eye. I have no idea what he's talking about. I mean, he was saying something curious, but now I don't know where. I don't know what he's talking about. Okay. The pseudo ether. What is pseudo ether? Hypothesis is potentially disruptive in modern theoretical physics, including covariant invariance, use basis for general relativity. What is all this? Like he's quoting from somewhere? Receding outward and inward journeys for observer relative. I don't know what's going on. Cannot occur simultaneously, so either two linear propagation constraints Ct is equal to Ct prime plus or minus Vt prime. I don't know what's going on. NB, what is NB here? T prime minus T denotes propagation delays from the emission event. What? NB A frame of reference is merely a mathematical tool. NB, what is NB? The Hafali Keating experimental. Brian Keating? Result can be explained without Lorentz contraction in terms of gravitational redshift alone, simply by including equatorial centripetal force. Centripetal force? Equatorial centripetal motion. Why force? That must use the side wheel orientation reference to calculate v squared over I don't know what's going on. That reduces the upward aircraft lift required to defeat gravity, and so reduces gravitational redshift. This is, I don't know what's going on here. Please upvote if you think that this hypothesis should be promoted. If not, then please explain reasons why not. I don't know. The Michelson-Morley experiment was designed to detect the ether wind of Earth orbiting around the Sun at 30 kilometers per second. That's not that's 30,000 meters per second. That's too slow. You're not going to detect it with a 1 meter arm. Why not the rotation of the Earth relative to the ether of about 450 meters per second? Exactly. What is the expected fringe shift for Earth's rotation? I don't know what a fringe shift is. No, the Michelson-Morley was looking for ether drift mainly due to Earth's rotation. Okay. Oh, mainly due to Earth's rotation? It's still not enough. You're not going to get it in a 1 meter arm interferometer. I don't think so. With like a candle or any light source, even with a laser, you're not going to get it. Maybe with gamma rays, X-rays, gamma rays. but you're not going to see it. You're going to need instruments to figure that out. And anyway, that's not what they were doing. The primary experiment to reveal the absolute motion of the ether consisted of rotating the apparatus. Any measured motion would be primarily due to the Earth's rotation. Indeed, the from indeed the something from the orbital motion of the Earth was considered possibly too small to. It's too small to detect either way. 450 compared to the speed of light is insignificant. What is even the question? 450 meters per second compared to 300 million? This is a million. This is one part in a million. You're going to detect one part in a million with a 1 meter arm? How? How? You need a 1 kilometer arm. And even then, you're only going to get 1 lambda out of that with red light by my calculations. 450. 450. Yeah. I mean, the speed of gravity is 10,000 meters per second. That you can, if you would have done it vertically, yeah, still it would have to be huge. So I wouldn't even try doing that. Anyway, okay, we've already discussed this ad nauseum. The experiment was repeated at 12-hour intervals. Any difference between the measurements would isolate the effect of the Earth's rotation from the orbital motion of the Earth. What? You don't need to do it a 12-hour intervals? Oh, because he's saying at one time we were rotating this way, at the other time we're rotating that way. No, you're not going to detect that. You're not going to detect that. There's nothing like that. There's no motion of the Earth through the ether except for the rotation at all times. So I don't know. I want to see his data. Is this Lorentz's data? Is this his anticipation? What is his diagram? This is 0.05 lambda. 0.05. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. SN. This is east west, north. This is north south, east west. What's left? That's everything. It's east west. This is north south. What's this? North ground. Maybe north south. This is an S. North south. This is south north. This is north. Oh, that's probably an S. That's an S. Is this the result? This is expected. What are we looking at? I don't know what we're looking at. It was also noted that a seasonal variation would occur, and for the sake of completeness, I need to see his predicted results. What were I need to see his notes. Is there anything? But he did not think it's gravity. So once you think it's gravity, it completely changes how you think, and it's basically a theory of gravity. But I don't think their theory that ether was anywhere on the radar for a theory of gravity. In 1920, Einstein did say that ether is gravity. The experiment was repeated at various times throughout the year. No, that should not have any impact. They should have noticed that day or night, these have no impact, these have no impact, but they should have seen something when they just rotated. They should always get the same results. Maybe this is always the same results. They're always getting something, but they would not get a complete lambda. But he's saying, I'm getting a 0.05 lambda. The maximum is 0.05 lambda, but it should not have anything to do with north-south. This does not make any sense. No, this does not make any sense that... Oh, wait. So he's rotating the arm. This is the rotation of the arm, of the two arms. Well, I need to see two arms. Are these the two arms? I mean, they should, something should be, I don't know. I mean, I need to see more information because maybe we will be able to see something that he detected and we could show that it is statistically significant. If you assume that ether is gravity, maybe we could show that he saw it, but I don't know. I don't know what this is. I need to see the data. Show me his notes, and I'll show you maybe a detection of ether. It was also noted that a seasonal, yeah, but in any case, no variation was detected, not from the rotation of the apparatus. Well, I don't know what it means was detected. I mean, what's the definition of detection? Not from the rotation of that. No, you should have seen something, minuscule, minimal, but you probably discounted it each time. It's maybe it's two. It's one in a million. It's actually more. It's v squared over c squared, isn't it? It's worse than one in a million. The difference is amplified. The one part in is even more amplified, I think. Oh, I mean, de-amplified. From comparing different times of day or from comparing different times. Yeah, these should be completely nothing, but the rotation of the apparatus, that's the only thing that should have given them something. I need to see just this. Everything else I need to also see, and I'll show you. There's nothing. There's nothing. I mean, they would not be able to detect tidal forces from the moon. I think that's the most powerful ones you can predict. What's funny is that according to general relativity, they should see something when they rotate it. I mean, it comes out of general relativity that we rotate through Einstein's. Well, I mean, general relativity should predict a positive result. So telling me that it's a null result, that's actually a violation of general relativity. So you got to tell me, what does general relativity predict? General relativity cannot allow a null result for this rotation. Because according to general relativity, we are moving through the curvature, whatever you want to call it, the curvature of space time, we're moving through that as the Earth rotates. Right now, the Earth is rotating. So at the equator, it's the most significant. At the North Pole, it's insignificant. And the same in the South Pole. But so Michelson and Morley were conducting the experiment in Ohio, in Cleveland. So I'm assuming it's about 500 meters per second rotation. GR should predict a non-null result. To tell me that they got a null result and that's proof, that's impossible. So you got to pick your side. I mean, that's a violation of GR. And now, if you tell me GR does not predict, then fine. Then we should conduct the experiment and disprove GR. It's up to you, or correct GR. But you got to tell me what you expect. I don't know. You got to tell me, in order for SR and GR to be scientific, you got to tell me how to disprove them. You got to tell me how to falsify them. Otherwise, they're not scientific. From all evidence available, the movement of the Earth through the ether was not detected. That's 1,000 years ago. Why don't you redo the experiment with with higher precision? It was not detected because the ether does not. Yeah, because the ether does not. Of course, it doesn't. It was not detected a million years ago, so it doesn't exist. Everybody knows that a million years ago, science was just as advanced as it is today. Still no comments, and still no one visiting us, and no one is watching us. Oh, oh, that's so sad. I'm so sad and lonely. Okay, because the ether does not exist. Yeah, because that's exactly how science is done. Science is conclusive. Everybody knows. Starting with the Michelson-Morley experiment, we've received null results for something that, if it existed, should leave evidence. Even GR, Michelson and Morley, it should have been positive because of GR. So you gotta choose. It's either GR or the ether. Either way, it could not have been a null result. So if it's a null result, something is wrong. Either with GR or fine. You want to say there is no ether, fine. But then you have to say there's no GR either. You can't have a null result. GR should right. We should be detecting the rotation through the curvature. You should be able to detect the curvature of space time. The curvature, you should be able to detect it. If you're not, then GR is not scientific. What do you want to do? You gotta pick sides. Let's see if anyone discusses this. Okay. Michelson-Morley experiments were supposed to show Earth's ether drag. Since no interference was detected, isn't the correct inference that Earth is not moving? Of course, interference was observed. What was not observed was a change of the interference pattern when the interferometer was rotated. Okay, interference was observed. Well, so it wasn't calibrated. Yeah. You need to calibrate first for zero interference and then you rotate. Or you get some interference and then something has to change when you rotate. Good. Hence, the conclusion was drawn that the speed of light is independent of the direction. Well, to what precision? And therefore, no ether drag exists. Well, to what precision? What's this? Ether, Earth is moving. I don't know. Okay, now in order to draw the next conclusion, let me remind you that in science we draw conclusions based on evidence. So they compared the weight of the evidence for the existence of the ether on the left to the weight of the evidence for the motion of the Earth on the right. I mean, okay, so they knew the Earth is moving, but there was no detection of ether, therefore there is no ether. And they concluded that there is probably, oh, it's good, he says probably, he's being scientific. Should the scale ever tip to the other way, we will reevaluate this conclusion. You have to reject GR as well. Okay, we have a comment. Why? Why did I ban Zach? He actually, well, he said, well, I would rather not say that is why I banned him. He was not a good citizen of our community. I had to he was not, yeah. Yeah. I gave him plenty of opportunities to be nice, but he kept being um, irritating. Yeah, Yeah, I don't want to ban people, obviously, but sometimes people just ask for it and ask for it and ask for it. So I just at one point I have to ban them if that's what they want, but I don't know what to do, honestly. Okay, where are we? We're reading this one. Share. Okay. Professor, professor at National Autonomous University of Mexico. So these are high-profile people. Studied physics, lives in Earth. I play guitar. Software engineer, electrical engineer. Former retired research scientist, ex-kinetic. 1965, he was already working. Author has blah blah. All right, so some of these people are no slackers. Author of Secrets of the Ether. Interesting. So he actually wrote a book about the ether. Wow. Anyway, so there's very interesting profiles here. Okay, so we're looking at some plafessal. So this is a plafessal from 1987 to present. So perhaps this was settled in 1887. That's the year, but I'm wondering if the luminiferous ether traveled along with the Earth. Good. Like the atmosphere does. Would the Michelson-Morley experiment have missed detecting it? Oh. Right, so he's saying, yeah, maybe it's like the atmosphere. But then why would it move with Earth? Right? It's like this has to be something universal that light travels through. Michelson, so what does he teach? Autonomous? What does he teach? Michelson's purpose in doing the experiment was precisely to determine whether the ether was being dragged by Earth or not, and if not, at what speed it, it flowed through it. From the negative result, he concluded ether was dragged. However, earlier experiments had largely eliminated theories involving a dragged ether, namely so called aberration experiments. Okay, I need to know what these are. Just as rain that falls straight down appears to fall at an angle if you are moving, in a similar way, the light of a star arrives on Earth at an angle that varies with Earth's velocity and therefore varies through the year. Now clearly, if the walker dragged the air with him, the rain would always fall vertically down on him. In a roughly similar vein, no theories involving a dragged ether could credibly account for the aberration of stars, which is the above mentioned shift in angle. I don't know. What are these aberrations? It is worth emphasizing that aberration effects are about 10,000 times easier to see than effects like the one Michelson and Morley were looking for. It is proportional to the ratio of Earth's speed through the solar system to the speed of light, which is 1 in 10,000. Michelson-Morley experiment was looking for something that was of the order of the squared of that quantity, so 1 in 100 million. Interesting. So it was not reasonable to interpret Michelson-Morley as yielding a result that contradicted aberration. The result remained as an anomaly until Lorentz introduced a somewhat weird patch, the Lorentz-Fitzgerald contraction. Finally, Einstein gave a clear account of everything. Dragged ether has, however, acquired some sort of zombie status and reappeared no matter how efficiently it is refuted. Part of this may be due to the Miller experiment, which were a remake of the Michelson-Morley experiment, but with better apparatus. These experiments were made in Cleveland on the one hand and on Mount Wilson on the other, with the hope to detect a difference due to drag. However, the two results, Cleveland and Mount Wilson, were not essentially different. So ether drag could not be the reason. On the other hand, the results of the Miller experiments were positive. In other words, he did detect a shift which would have contradicted special relativity. No, no. The ether does not contradict special relativity. The ether just makes special relativity into not special relativity. It's general wave mechanics. It degenerates special relativity into simple wave mechanics. It doesn't contradict. I mean, it's special relativity is just it's a good theory of wave mechanics. That's all it is. It's not even a theory. It's a good treatise about wave mechanics and about clocks that are based on the waves. If your clock is based on the wave that you are uh, experimenting with, then you get special relativity. It's just it's because of the clock of choice. If your clock of choice ticks through the wave that you're experimenting with, then you get a constant speed of wave relative to every moving observer. And once you have that, you have special relativity. Special relativity, the only thing that's special about special relativity is your choice of clock. That the clock ticks depend, the mechanism depend on the wave of the medium that you are experimenting with. This brought relativity opponents to an enthusiastic frenzy from which they have not recovered in the almost 100 years since the experiment. Turns out that the more sensitive apparatus used by Miller also measured noise more sensitively, and that the data analysis used by Miller created a statistical illusion which corresponded exactly to the kind of signal he expected. Well, has anyone reviewed these numbers? What do you mean? I mean, are we sure? Really bad luck. What do you mean bad luck? What do you mean? I mean, if what do you mean statistical illusion? It's either statistically significant or not by statistical tools. I don't know. Is it? What do you mean really bad luck? So just repeat the experiment, duplicate the experiment, and Miller should not be criticized. But those who still quote him should, of course, be treated with kindness, but with no way listened to. Wait, what? What are you talking about? For the details of the explanation of Miller's results, see Thomas Roberts, an explanation of Dayton Miller's anomalous ether drift result. In 1933, oh, it's on archive. Dayton Miller published in this journal the results of the voluminous observations using his ether. All right, let's check it out. All right. Perhaps Bachelor of Fine Arts from Academy of Art University, graduated 2011. Perhaps this was settled but I'm wondering, blah, blah. Perhaps this was settled in 1887, but I'm wondering. The only problem with your idea is that the Earth rotates as it orbits the Sun. So even if the luminiferous ether was orbiting around the Sun with us, it should still be moving in opposite direction on opposite sides of the planet. Yep. But, fine. That is okay. If you're assuming the ether is some sort of cosmic wind, yeah, but if you assume the ether is gravitational liquid, it is gravity, then GR should have detected it. You should have detected GR. Look, if you're not detecting the ether, you're not detecting GR. You have to make up your mind. When Einstein came up with GR, he should have said, "Oh, the Michelson-Morley experiment should have been positive. How? Why was it negative?" So you gotta make up your mind. Either you have the ether or you have GR. You or both. But if you're not getting the results, the positive results from Michelson and Morley, then you have to throw GR to the garbage. GR should detect something like the ether. That should be a separate paper. There's so many papers to write here. This is such nonsense. Jesus. How could people be so sloppy? This is such sloppy science. Oh, oh my God. Such sloppiness. It is highly unlikely that the ether orbits and rotates with the Earth exactly in lockstep, unless it's gravity. How would light come to us from the sun if the medium that light travels is moved with the Earth? It makes no sense. Why not? It moves with the Earth when it's in the vicinity of the Earth. The Earth is in this huge ocean, bathtub. What's the problem? The Earth's atmosphere moves with the Earth, and yet there is wind on the surface. There is absolutely zero movement of the ether. Well, you wouldn't be able to tell because your brain is ether. We are creatures of ether. So you'd expect no detection of ether except for with an interferometer. The simplest explanation is there is no ether. No, it's not the simplest because then how do you get light at all? What is it waving through? What does ultramagnetic waves wave through? That makes no sense. And later on, Einstein explained how the speed of light works. No, he did not. He assumed. Why are people misunderstanding Einstein? He postulated how the speed of light works, that it's a constant to all observers. That's a postulate. That's just an assumption. His theories have been tested. No, it's not a theory, it's an assumption. It's a theory based on an assumption. It's not scientific. That is not how science is done. It's not mechanical. It worked just fine. Yeah, you know what I say about something that works just fine. It's garbage. I don't care if something works just fine. I need it to have a mechanical foundation. You need to explain to me the mechanics. How what you're saying is mechanical. Otherwise, it's not scientific. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Let me see. Let me see. Let me check the batteries. Okay, this battery needs to be plugged in. This battery needs to be plugged in. My god, my batteries are dead. All right. And his theories have been tested and work just fine without the need for an ether. Well, he didn't agree with you. In 1920, he said that there is ether. So you're right, it was settled, maybe not until 1916, but it was eventually settled. What? Not according to Einstein. Do we have more? This is endless. The Michelson about Wikipedia would have given the same results in the case. Okay, whatever. I mean, I'm not PhD in physics. Astronomers had long since pointed out that if the passage of the Earth through the assumed ether created even a ripple, they would have detected it. The Earth would necessarily be completely transparent to any putative ether. I don't know what putative is. Although they found that highly improbable, they waited 6 months and repeated the experiment when the Earth was on the other side. Same result. Okay, not wanting to return to the Ptolemaic version of cosmology, whatever. The Michelson experiment was not this Cora. This is like, I mean, some really you get some pretty interesting discussions on this Cora platform. Really nice. Worked at Observatorio Nacional, 1977. Oh my God, these people are archaeological relics. Upvoted by Frank Burgum, former electronic something. Okay. Michelson Morley experiment was not to measure the orbital speed, but to measure the movement of the Earth relative to the luminiferous ether. Okay, that it was not meant to be. Somebody needs to redo the experiment like a normal person. This supposed material would allow the light to travel throughout the side real space. What is side real space? I think I've seen this before. At that time, there was the belief that once the light radiation is wave-like, it forcibly should exist a material media for the radiation to travel. Okay, so this guy's probably Spanish. His name is Joao Luis Col Moreira. I think, Spanish. Observatorio Nacional. I think that's Spanish. This media was called luminiferous ether. Einstein showed that his relativity theory is necessary to explain why the experiment failed. If it didn't, all the local speed components should be taken into account. Movement of the Earth was not detected because it's stationary. Oh my God. You have it exactly backward. The idea was that Earth was not stationary, frame. Senia shade. And that was exactly okay. Let's take a mental trip back to the 19th century. Huygens' wave theory of light won against later in 19th century Clerk Maxwell. But that must mean that if you can measure the speed of light in various directions, this is precisely what Michelson they found. Well, unlikely this could theoretically be coincidence. The Earth could just happen to be moving at the exact same velocity as the ether. Unfortunately, Michelson and Morley repeated one possible explanation would have been ether drag theories, which suggested that indeed the ether is at rest. The only theory was Lorentz and Poincaré version. What did Poincaré say? Which included the ideas of length contraction and time dilation. The idea was that Michelson-Morley experiment was failing to detect the change. Whatever. Strictly speaking, you can have a consistent physical universe like Lorentzian ether theory, which makes the right predictions and also has some preferred reference frames. Problem is that this preferred reference frame doesn't add anything to the theory. There is no way to measure it unless you define it arbitrarily something like the average velocity of the cosmic background. The movement of the Earth through the ether wasn't detected because there wasn't any. Okay. Does this end? This is impossible. I mean, this is forget it. Okay, let's look at an explanation. All right, let's look at this. Oh, it's short. Let's magnify it. My eyes. So in 1933, Dayton Miller published. So this is 1933. This is 1,000 years after Michelson Morley published. I mean, so they were 1887. That's about 1890. 10 years. This is 43. About 45 years after Michelson Morley. Basically, 50 years almost. Published in this journal the results of his voluminous observations using his ether drift interferometer and proclaimed that he had determined the absolute motion of the Earth. This result in this result is in direct conflict with the prediction of special relativity and also with numerous related experiments that found no such signal or absolute motion. This paper presents a complete explanation of his anomalous result by showing that his results are not statistically significant, describing in detail how flaws in his analysis procedure produced a false signal with precisely the properties he expected. And C, presenting a quantitative model of his systematic drift that shows there is no real signal in his data. Okay. In short, this is every experiment's nightmare. He was unknowingly looking at statistically insignificant patterns in his systemic drift that mimicked the appearance of a real signal. What was the signal that he detected? An upper limit on absolute motion of 6 kilometers per second is derived from his raw data. Well, in what direction? 6 kilometers, that's 6,000 meters per second. No, nothing. I mean, well, obviously he's not doing it downwards. So sideways, those are not the numbers. It's under 2,000 meters per second at the equator. So yeah, these numbers are mad, way too high. An upper limit on absolute motion is derived. Well, it's an upper limit on absolute motion is derived from his raw data, fully consistent with similar experimental results in the prediction of special relativity. What? The key point of this paper is the need for a comprehensive quantitative error analysis. The concepts and techniques used in this analysis were not available to Miller in Miller's day, but are now standard. These problems also apply to the famous measurements Michelson Morley and to most, if not all, similar experiments. Appendices are provided discussing several such experiments to be proposed. I'm tired. Trinity. Okay, anybody joining us? No one? No one is joining us. Oh, we're so sad and lonely. Oh my god. Wait, what's the title? Let's write a paper. Yeah, that sounds boring. Proof of Einstein's constant speed of light postulate. Oh my god. Anyone reading this is like, kill me now. Like I'm proving a postulate. Everybody's like, what? To prove a postulate? No one knows what a postulate is, except for except for Einstein. So from conjecture to postulates. Oh my God, kill me, please. Please kill me, please. All right, view PDF. Kill me now, please. How many pages is this? 23 pages. But when will I be killed is what I need to know. Okay, an explanation of Dayton Miller's anomalous ether drift result. Thomas Roberts, Illinois Institute of Technology, Chicago, and Muons, Inc., Batavia, Illinois, abstract. In 1933, Dayton Miller published in this journal the results of his voluminous. All right. Can I see his results before we look at anything else? What did he find? Okay, Miller's data reduction algorithm, Miller's analysis in the frequency domain, a new analysis, Miller's data conclusion. Okay. Introduction. Dayton Miller. That's a weird name. His first name is Dayton. That's like a beautiful name. No one is named Dayton today. Can you imagine like a puppy named Dayton? That's such a beautiful name. It's a good name for a beautiful chick. Dayton. All right, 1933 article in this journal reviewed the results of his voluminous measurement. So it's voluminous obtained from his ether drift interferometer. Well, what you need is an interferometer to proclaim to the world that he had determined the absolute motion of the Earth. No, no, no. You should not detect the motion of the Earth. That's impossible. What's your theory? This claim has been embraced by some, rejected by many, and remains controversial today. Unfortunately, acceptance or rejection of Miller's result has been based mainly on whether or not it conforms to a person's prejudices. I mean, obviously, You need to have a prejudice. You need to have a theory before you can judge anything. I mean, does it conform to a theory or not? If it conforms to a theory, then fantastic. Then it's evidence for the theory. Otherwise, it's evidence against the theory. But of course, you have to have a prejudice. Otherwise, it's not scientific. And not on any solid objective criteria. I mean, that is a prejudice. An objective criteria is a prejudice. Shankland, 1955, attempted to address this situation by re-examining Miller's data. I can't believe I'm reading these papers. Kill me now, please, please. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. It's too much. Unfortunately, they did not fully resolve the issue because they merely showed a loose correlation between signal and temperature drift. Oh my god, temperature? Why is there a temperature? Why is temperature relevant? Oh my god. Look, if you find positive result, that's evidence for GR. Also for the ether. There's no difference. You have Michelson and Morley should have succeeded because of GR. Just because of GR. So you gotta let me know. I mean, if you think that their result and also Miller should be, well, depending on what they were looking for, but when they rotate, it doesn't matter when, they should always get the same result based on GR because of the rotation of the Earth through the fabric, the curved fabric, whatever Einstein wants to call it on any given day, but did not give any argument or discussion of how that. Posthumously, Miller is now experiencing every experimenter's nightmare. The standard analysis algorithm used by himself and all his contemporaries had serious flaws not explicable for many decades, and they caused the noise in the apparatus to perfectly mimic the signature of a real signal. What was the signal? Could you please tell me? Okay. In addition, appendices. Miller's interferometer is a direct descendant of Michelson's original version. Michelson and Morley's improved model. Indeed, he reused their mercury trough in which the interferometer floats while rotating. But instead of using a sandstone block for optical and thermal rigidity, a sandstone block? Iron girders were used to increase the optical path. What's an iron girder? What's an to increase the optical path? That is what you should do, but I don't know what Miller has several diagrams, pictures of the apparatus. Miller streamlined the data acquisition process by having the observer visually interpolate the fringe position. What is a fringe position? Rather than using a vernier dial and readout. And he took data in runs of 20 turns rather than 6 turns. What do you mean turns? What's a turn? What is a turn? Like like steps in the rotation? A seemingly minor change that turns out to be important because it yields sufficient data to permit the quantitative modeling of the systemic drift. In section 4, Miller clearly appreciated the desirability of having a large data set. This paper discusses Miller himself could have had no knowledge of these DSP techniques developed after his death. This is data signal processing and without a digital computer. Miller's data reduction algorithm. Miller took his data and analyzed them as follows. Okay, what's the data? Could you please tell us? The fringe position at each marker are recorded in the logbook as shown figure 1, taken directly from Miller. After the header giving basic information, there are 20 rows. Miller expected the real signal to be sinusoid with the period of half a turn with its amplitude. The first thing to do is look at the data figure. Can I see a figure? Is there a figure to look at? Frequency domain considerable. I need to see a reanalysis of Miller's data because those 8 sequences, this has been applied. Okay. An AI should read this paper and tell me what the heck is going on. In conclusion, Dayton Miller was a prisoner of his time. Mhm. Acknowledgement. Appendix. Michelson Morley experiment. The measurement by Illingworth. References. Wow, a lot of references. There is a table. Figures with captions. Mount Wilson. Who signed? There is a wave. So there is a signal. So that there is the signal. I don't care. This is the angle. Now, what is this? This is 3:02 a.m. This is 3:16 a.m. This is 1 through 20 plus 10. I'm assuming degrees. Plus 10, 11, 10, 10, 9, 7. Where's the rotation? Then he conducted the experiment again at 3:16 a.m. I would rather kill myself than do an experiment at 3 a.m. Why would you do an experiment at 3 a.m.? When did you sleep? North, east, south, west. Where's the rotation? So this is just the complete experiment. What is this? What is it? I don't know what's going on here. Where's the rotation of the apparatus? I mean, there's no way he got a full wavelength. There's no way. Full wavelength needs a kilometer arm, not a 1 meter arm. So there's no way he got a full wavelength. So that, as far as I'm concerned, that's just noise. Like you gotta tell me why you gotta tell me first that this is what you expect to see. And why didn't it continue here? And what is I don't know. The raw data from figure 1 adjustments restored. What are we seeing here? Turn. 20 turns. Fringe. I don't know. Could somebody explain to me what a fringe position is? What is this? I guess. Oh, I guess that's the interference itself. Okay, so there is a signal. This is a signal. It's going down as you know. It should go one way. What is a turn? What what are these turns? What do you mean 0 turns, 5 turns? What is a turn? The assumed linear systemic drift. I don't know what we're looking at, but this is a signal. But I don't know what's going on here. Can anybody help me? Is anyone watching? No one is watching? Ever? Okay. Let's do a mic check. Okay. This is interesting. This is like detective work, archaeological work. The assumed linear systemic drift from the data. The lines are between successive marker 1 values and points. These could somebody explain to me what we're looking at? The histogram of the 40 data points. I don't know what's going on here. What's this? These are the errors. The plot at the bottom with error bars. So when you look at it with the error bars, I don't know. What's this? Fourier amplitude fringe frequency bin. I don't know what we're looking at. I wish somebody would make. We can ask maybe ChatGPT to read this and tell us what's going on. I mean, there is a signal. I just don't know what turns and what systemic differences fringes. I think this is the actual interference. assuming this is the actual interference. So he saw something moving, but over what? What are turns? Okay. All right. We need to find out what we're looking at. At least now we see some sort of data. Miller, I'm assuming, is the same as Michelson Morley. Okay, I just need to see the definition of the word turn. What is a turn? Okay, so not defined. It shows up 23 times. How do you go to the next? What's this? What's this? This is down. How do you go to the next? Oh, yeah. Oh, 98 times. A seemingly minor change that turns out with each turn starting and ending at marker 1. Turn, complete rotation. A turn is a complete rotation, so it's useless. That's what I thought. So what did he expect to see? A complete turn? A complete turn? I need to see every 1 degree. Tell me what happens for every 1 degree of the 360 degrees of a turn. I don't care. Just do one turn. One turn and tell me if you're seeing anything. Not even a turn. Just do 90 degrees. Tell me after 1 degree or even less than 1 degree. Tell me if anything is changing. That's all we need. And that data is not recorded. So I don't know. I mean, the only data is the is a complete turn. A complete turn is I don't know what you get out of a complete turn. A complete rotation. Unrecorded. These adjustments were made during an unrecorded turn. Always appear in the logbook, right? So I don't know. I mean, somebody needs to do it with a big interferometer. Like build a big interferometer with a bunch of mirrors, like the ones I explained, or with high power, like gamma rays, or X-rays, and then you'll get it. But all you're gonna prove is, guess what? You're gonna just prove GR. GR is the ether. Well, but they already know this. Einstein said it. Einstein said GR is the ether in 1920. Who am I arguing with? I'm arguing with the internet. It's me and Einstein against the internet. Okay, I just need to see is the word degree. Degree. 8 times. Okay. 180 degrees from the marker. Because of the 180-degree symmetry of the interferometer, any real signal can depend only on orientation modulo 180 degrees. Well, at least they got that right. I think 180 is correct. And whatever real signal is present in these data must have the same value for every reading at markers 1 and 9. What is a marker? So the effect of a real signal is to move the entire plot vertically by some constant amount. All of the variation of figure 3 are purely instrumentation effects, systemic drift. Okay, somebody needs to do the experiment, but all you're going to find out is GR, and GR is the ether. It will give you exactly the same results. Congratulations, you discovered GR, which Einstein said is the ether. So congratulations. I don't know what you discovered. It's like you discovered the internet is wrong. Congratulations, the internet is wrong. Okay, 180 degrees. I need 1 degree. Can you show me 1 degree? 180 degrees apart. Can you show me 1 degree? What happens? Okay, forget it. I'm tired. All right, this is a dead end. Okay, at least we tried. Science. Significance of the ether drift experiments of 1925 at Mount Wilson. Okay, forget it. It doesn't matter. Look, it doesn't matter. Wait, did I? I didn't share. Okay, I didn't share this. Let me share this. Luminiferous ether on Wikipedia. Please kill me. Thank you. Don't forget to kill me. Don't forget to kill me. You really have to kill me. Oh my God, water. Water. Okay. Look, it's an hour and 25. Let's take a break before I kill myself. Maybe I will just read a little bit of this. This is so tiring. Luminiferous ether. I would say, does anyone else besides Einstein compare GR to the ether? Only Einstein says that it's the same thing. Only me and Einstein have realized this. It is my doom to agree with Einstein against the internet. Okay, so let's look for general relativity. Shows up 7 times. In 1916, after Einstein completed his foundational work on general relativity, Lorentz wrote a letter to him in which he speculated that within GR, the ether was reintroduced. Exactly. Exactly. I mean, just put me to death. Could you please put me to death? In his response, Einstein wrote that one can actually speak about a new ether, but one may not speak of motion in relation to that ether. That's incorrect. Einstein was wrong about many things. The rotation is through the GR fabric. You should be able to detect it. This was further elaborated by Einstein in some semi popular article, I guess maybe 1920. But when will you kill me? This concept was fully elaborated within GR, in which physical properties which are partially determined by matter are attributed to space. No substance or state of motion can be attributed to the ether, by which he meant curved space-time. Yeah, that's a misinterpretation of Einstein's GR. So in 1918, Einstein publicly alluded to that new definition for the first time. Then in early 1920, in a lecture which he was invited to give at Lorentz University in Leiden. Okay, now I know why he was in Leiden. And where the heck is Leiden? What country? Could somebody tell me where is Leiden? Search Brave for Leiden. Leiden, Dutch pronounce. Oh, it's in Deutschland. In Holland. In English, archaic Dutch. Leiden is a city of municipality in the southern province of Holland, Netherlands. Isn't South Holland, Netherlands. So Lorentz is from the Netherlands. How very, very impressive. Einstein sought to reconcile the theory of relativity with Lorentzian ether. Oh, there's Lorentzian ether. Wait a minute. What is Lorentzian ether? Where is Lorentzian ether? Lorentz ether, okay. What is now often called Lorentz ether theory has its roots in Hendrik Lorentz's theory of electrons, which shut up, Siri, which marked the end of the development of the classical ether theories at the end of the 19th. Okay, Lorentz's initial theory was created between 1882 based on removing assumptions about ether motion. It explained the failure of the negative ether drift experiments to first order in V versus C by introducing an auxiliary variable called local time, I guess this is time dilation for connecting systems at rest and in motion in the ether. Good. In addition, the negative result. So Lorentz transformation. So time dilation was invented not for special relativity, but just as wave mechanics. In addition, the negative result of the Michelson Morley led to the introduction of the hypothesis of length contraction. However, other experiments also produced negative results, guided by Henri Poincaré, principle Poincaré's principle of relativity in physics. Okay, so he had another principle of relativity. Lorentz tried in 1899, 1904 to expand his theory to all orders in V versus C by introducing the Lorentz transformation, which still live inside relativity, Einstein's relativity. In addition, he assumed that non-electromagnetic forces, if they exist, transform like electric forces. However, Lorentz expression for charge density and current were incorrect. So his theory did not fully exclude the possibility of detecting the ether. Eventually, it was Henri Poincaré who in 1905 corrected the errors in Lorentz's paper and actually incorporated non-electromagnetic forces, including gravitation, within the theory, which he called the new mechanics. Many aspects of Lorentz's theory were incorporated into special relativity (SR) with the works of Einstein and Hermann Minkowski. This is cannibalism. They just swallowed Lorentz's work, so we cannot understand separately what Lorentz was thinking. Today, LET is often treated as some sort of Lorentzian or neo-Lorentzian interpretation of special relativity. The introduction of length contraction and time dilation for all phenomena in a preferred frame of reference, which plays the role of Lorentz immobile ether, leads to the complete Lorentz transformation. So Lorentz covariance doesn't provide any experimentally verifiable distinctions between Lorentz ether theory and special relativity. The absolute simultaneity in the Mansouri-Sexel test theory formulation of LET implies that a one-way speed of light experiment could in principle distinguish between LET and SR. But it is now widely held that it is impossible to perform such a test. In the absence of any way to experimentally distinguish between, so it's not scientific. I mean, SR is widely preferred over LET due to the superfluous assumption of an undetectable ether. That actually is that's actually um, a flaw in special relativity. That if you say there is no ether, then you cannot explain so many phenomena. Like, why do we have light? Why is light a wave? The validity of the relativity principle in LET seems ad hoc or coincidental. What? No. Oh, what do you mean coincidental? But he assumed an ether and got exactly what SR gets. Okay, this is what Lorentz looked like. They all looked like, I wonder what he would look like today. The Lorentz ether theory, which was developed mainly between 1882 and 1906 by Lorentz and Poincaré, was based on the ether theory of Augustin Jean Fresnel. So he came up with the ether. Was a French civil engineer and physicist whose research in optics led to the almost unanimous acceptance of the wave theory of light, excluding any remnant of Newton's corpuscular theory from the late 1830s until the end of the 19th century. Oh my god. Okay. Maxwell's equations and the electron theory of Rudolf Clausius. What did he say? Rudolf Julius Emanuel Clausius was a German physicist and mathematician and is considered one of the central founding fathers of the scientific community. Lorentz' 1895 paper was rejected. Rejected. Not was rejected. Rejected. I think was rejected. This paper was rejected. Like in those days, I don't think any paper was rejected. It's like every journal was thirsty for, please publish with it in our journal, so that they probably paid you to publish in their journal. Today I think you don't have to pay to publish, but I don't know. Some people pay to publish. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, we have to take a break. Maybe. Oh, it's too difficult. This is very difficult. Reading reading is very difficult. Maybe I should do some writing, reading. But even writing is gonna kill me. Writing might even take more energy. Lorenz, okay, let's see if there's anyone with us. There's no one. So maybe what I should do is I should give a more exciting name to these videos. Like let's call it ether theory. Maybe that will get people going. Let's not be subdued about what we're doing. This is ether research. We're researching ether. This is ether research, no less than ether research. So let me take the original name, copy it, and let's put the here original name. This, that, and let's give it a new name. Research, ether, ether theory or ether model, ether theory, ether theory, ether theory. We're looking at Lorentz. We're looking at what are we looking at besides Lorentz? We said Michelson and Morley and Miller. Michelson, Morley, and Miller. Okay, whatever. Yeah, that's what we were looking at. So I guess we should modify the name. Let's. I don't think. I mean, this is very interesting. So okay, so Lorentz 1895 paper rejected the ether drift theories and refused to express assumptions about the nature of the ether. It said that we cannot speak about an absolute rest of the ether is itself evident. This expression would not even make sense. When I say, for the sake of brevity, that the ether would be at rest, then this only means that one part of this medium does not move against the other, one, and that all perceptible motions are relative motions of the celestial bodies in relative to the. I don't know what he's saying there. As Max Born later said, it was natural, though not logically necessary, for scientists of that time to identify the rest frame of the Lorentz ether with the absolute space of Isaac Newton. This is incredible. This is Max Born. Wow. So these people were living in. I mean, Isaac Newton would have told them that they're not being scientific. I hope. I mean, someone should have told them. Well, I guess it's me. I need to tell them, guys, you're not being scientific. You're not being mechanical. Like if you believe in a mechanical universe, then you have to reject this notion of a vacuum. The condition of this ether can be described by the electric field E and the magnetic field H, where these fields represent the states of the ether with no further specification related to the charges of the electrons. Thus, an abstract electromagnetic ether replaces the older mechanistic ether model, contrary to Clausius, who accepted that the electrons operate by actions at a distance. The electromagnetic field of the ether appears as a mediator between the electrons, and changes in this field can propagate not faster than the speed of light. Lorentz theoretically explained, who said this? I guess that's Lorentz. Lorentz theoretically explained the Zeeman effect. What is the Zeeman effect? Is the effect of splitting of a spectral line into several components in the presence of a static magnetic field. I don't know what's going on. It is named after the Dutch physicist Pieter Zeeman, who discovered it in 1896 and received a Nobel Prize for this discovery. It is analogous to the Stark effect. Tony Stark? Okay, on the basis of his theory for which he received the Nobel Prize in Physics, 1902. Joseph Larmor, who is he? I've heard the name. Was an Irish physicist and mathematician who made breakthroughs in the understanding of electricity dynamics, thermodynamics, and the electron theory of matter. His most influential work was Ether and Matter, a theoretical physics book published in 1900. Joseph Larmor found a similar theory simultaneously, but his concept was based on a mechanical ether. Yep. A fundamental concept of Lorentz theory in 1895 was the theorem of corresponding states for terms of order V to C. V over C? I don't know what this is. This theorem states that a moving observer with respect to the ether can use the same electrodynamic equations as an observer in the stationary ether system. Thus, they are making the same observations. I mean, obviously, it sounds like Einstein swallowed everything Lorentz had to say. I mean, Einstein apparently just continued Lorentz's work. I mean, you have to read Einstein in context. I think Einstein obviously agrees. I mean, what he's saying makes, I mean, this course, this sounds like the foundation of Einstein's thinking. Length contraction. I think this is where Lorentz messed up. A big challenge for the Lorentz ether theory was the Michelson-Morley experiment in 1887. So everybody was shocked, went into shock because of Michelson-Morley experiment. So everybody was because they uh, violated Bacon's algorithm. See, this is what happens when you violate Bacon's scientific algorithm. So this is a lesson. Like, don't run to conduct an experiment before you have a theory, before you make predictions. You can't just, and that theory cannot be partial. You have to come up with a complete theory that fits into everything thus far. You cannot come up with a theory that is a violation unless you're willing to admit that you're not being scientific as far as bacons. Like maybe there should be a metric, a bacon metric. How algorithmically are you following bacon? Just how bacon are you? Like there should be a metric, 1 to 10. How bacon are you? And Michelson Morley on the bacon metric would receive a low grade, making the failure insignificant. What's this? Linus. Okay, we need to cut the stream. I need to take a break, but I want to continue reading. Okay, let's stop here and we'll pick it up from this point after the break. Maybe I'll drink another cup of coffee. Maybe. Maybe. All right, everyone. Let's take a break. I'll see you after. Bye.